Yeah, I didn't know I needed help. Not even my kids being put in foster care. That didn't show me that I needed help. That showed me that defects didn't know what they were doing.
Mothers Making a Change is a wonderful program designed to provide substance abuse treatment to women who are pregnant or have children under the ages of 18. Our primary focus is to reunify families. We work closely with the Department of Family and Children's Services and the drug courts to reunify mothers with their children.
After my kids were taken, I looked at it as I was torn, but I was really I felt freed. I didn't have to take care of no one, and it gave me more freedom so I could party more. I had just turned 18, so I could party more, and I looked at it as being free. I didn't look at it as a punishment or anything, or as I had a problem. As the years progressed, they were still in foster care. I was still attending the visits, and I would get sad and depressed when I left the visit, but I would always go and drink and get high just to cover it up. I never had to deal with it. And I was on probation for theft by shoplifting, and I got arrested for violating. So I spent the summer of 2010 in jail. That's when I got a letter from my lawyer saying that they were opening up a termination of parental rights, a TPR, and meaning my kids were about to go for adoption.
When you work in the juvenile court, you know that 80% or more of your cases are going to involve substance abuse. Of the substance abusing parents who come before our court, at least a third of them will also have a dual diagnosis of an underlying mental health issue. So the partnership between the Community Service Board and the court is critical if we are going to effectively serve children and their families.
I moved into residential. I was scared, but I was excited because I didn't know anybody, but it was much better than being where I was already at. Either being out on the streets in your car or living with somebody that is real abusive. So I went to my first meeting, and it was really interesting to hear people talk about their addiction because I'm a very closed person. I don't speak a lot, especially what's on my mind or how I feel, and I hadn't in a long time. So when I went to the meetings, I got to see the way other people felt, and I knew that I wasn't the only one, that I wasn't alone.
We deal with very complex cases. Women are coming into treatment dealing with the possibility of having their parental rights terminated. Some of them are dealing with homelessness. Some are dealing with the guilt and shame of being labeled as someone who uses illegal substances, and some are just dealing with the guilt and shame of being a person who may have given birth to a baby born positive to an illegal substance. Statistics show that 1 out of every 4 females have been sexually abused, and we found that statistic to be true with the ladies that we serve. For that reason, we provide trauma recovery services to help them deal with some of the abuse issues that they either experienced in childhood or when they were in their active stages of addiction. Of course, we provide substance abuse education to help them understand the whole addiction process. We're helping them to identify triggers, develop relapse prevention plan, enhance their parenting skills, and help them find employment. We also help them to find hope.
I took a mom who had been through a program through Mothers Making a Change, and she said, and I thought, I'm going to always remember this, that what had happened through drug court and through the family dependency treatment court and through treatment was that we became her family. We became her support. We became the people that she can pick up the phone and call when she is in a crisis, rather than calling her drug dealer friends or rather than just using drugs. We're also there to help them, I believe, when they relapse. And I truly believe, I'm not a therapist or a treatment person, but I believe that for a lot of folks, relapse is part of recovery, and I believe that the recovery programs teach that. I think I know that they do. And we're there to help prevent relapse, to give them the skills to not relapse, but to also be there when they relapse. And that's huge because these folks have never had that. They've never had that component, I believe, in their life.
Okay, and then there's codependency. And I am a very codependent person. Still to this day, I'm very codependent. I have a few friends, but I'm in healthy relationships. That I've never had before because it's always been abusive, it was always my fault, let me put it that way, and I believed it. So I have healthy relationships today. I'm getting better at not being so codependent. But they even tell you when you go into codependency, it's not going to happen overnight.
This program has also got me my GED. Once I dropped out of high school, which is like 3 years ago, I dropped out of high school. I never thought I told myself I was never going back because, like I said, I was young and dumb. So in my head, I was like, well, I'm not getting paid to go to school, so I'm not going to go. I'd rather get a job or do other things. But, you know, this program has helped me get my GED, enrolled to start KSU this fall, Kennesaw State. And it's the blessings that I'm receiving. It's just, if someone was to tell me where I would be today, I would have never believed it unless I saw it for myself.
Some additional things we offer that I think are kind of unique to our program is that we provide GED classes on site, and we also provide childcare, which has proven to be a barrier for a lot of women who are trying to get into treatment. Because our outpatient program is 5 days a week between the hours of 9 and 2, and a lot of the women have very young kids, childcare is an issue for them. So we have eliminated that barrier by providing childcare services on site so they can bring their kids to treatment with them during the daytime here.
So my name is Neil Kaltenecker. I'm the Executive Director of the Georgia Council on Substance Abuse. The mission of the Georgia Council is to reduce the impact of substance abuse in Georgia's communities through education, advocacy, and training. I'm also a person in long-term recovery, and what that means for me is that it's been almost 22 years since I've had my last drink or illegal drug. And I talk about my recovery because I think everybody should have the opportunities that I've had to get well. And it's the firm belief, I get up every day and get to advocate for not just treatment resources, but also for prevention resources and recovery resources. One of the things that's a huge concern to us, not just in the state, but in this country, is the economic climate. And we know that if you spend money on treatment and prevention, you're going to save money in the long run. 13% of all state budgets are dedicated toward things that deal with substance abuse, whether it's emergency rooms visits, incarceration, court systems, court processing, crime. That's a huge number, and if we can reduce, if we know that treating people is cheaper and more effective than incarceration, we're going to reduce the social costs in the long run. We also know that about 20% of all Medicaid costs are directly related to substance abuse and substance use disorders, and we know that people who have substance use disorders get sick. They don't live as long as people who don't have a substance use disorder, and yet they do get well. And so we have strategies that we know work, and we try to promote those on a daily basis.
Stands for Temporary Assistance for Needy Families. And in 1996, along with welfare reform, each state received a TANF block grant. This block grant is used differently in every state. In Georgia, DFACS found an opportunity to provide women who had substance abuse issues an avenue to treatment. Over the years, the focus has changed. In the beginning, we were very focused on women actually receiving a TANF check who needed to be engaged in employment services, and that barrier was there. After a few years, we noticed the population really shifting to women involved with Child Protective Services and having CPS cases. These women had lost their children or were potentially going to lose their children due to neglect, abuse related to their addiction issues. These programs, we saw a shift in their population being more heavily CPS versus the actual TANF cash check. So in 2012, we are at a point where TANF funding has been affected at the federal level Georgia is one of 17 states that receive supplemental dollars that supports that block grant base. Georgia, along with these other states, have a base that's not equitable due to population density and poverty levels. They were given these supplemental grants to really level the playing field, so to speak, with their block grants. Recently, the supplemental grants were excluded from the extension of the TANF block grant. This has left Georgia in a very bad spot. Our funding has came from the TANF block grant and those supplemental dollars, and now we're dealing with a potential loss of our allocation for these programs. The loss will be significant, but we are hopeful that we will find a way to offset those potential allocation reductions to continue the great work that these programs do. I think if you ask anyone in the community where one of these programs operates, they will tell you what great work these programs have done for their community. Judges, DFACS workers, churches, you name it. These programs have been engaged in their communities and have been a partner in helping women maintain their family structure and become healthy participants in the community. And the loss of any capacity of these programs will be devastating. And so we're going to keep believing that in 2012 these programs will continue, and that if we have any effects, they'll be minimal, and our capacity to serve women and children who have substance abuse issues will continue as they are critical to the state of Georgia.
If we didn't have outpatient services available, I would definitely, because I'm not ready to just be out without, I still need this place. I still need my counselors, I still need the groups, I still need the newcomers, I still need this place, period. I would probably go back out because this place is giving me purpose. For so long, I felt like I was just existing and learning more about myself and actually working on myself and being a better mother and a better person in society, period. I feel like I'm living today.
I'm so blessed with my kids, and I'm so grateful that they got to come home. I'm glad that I got a second chance with them, and I wouldn't have had it if it wasn't for mothers making a change at all.
One of the things that we know about addiction is that it's not just a one-size-fits-all. And at the Cobb Community Service Board, one of the great things about it is that they offer a range of services, everything from residential to outpatient to diagnostic and assessment and to recovery support. They have a shelter plus care housing program that will support women and people once they get out of treatment. Again, this is a chronic condition that's managed over time. You don't just want to treat it and then say someone's all better. You have to, there's many people who have to go through aftercare and continuing care because they don't just get it the first time around, and they need that kind of support. One thing we know about addiction is that it's not just about clean and sober. It's not just about saying no. It's not just about not using illegal drugs or alcohol anymore. It's about regaining your life. It's a process by which people get a job, have a home, start healing their families, and living their lives like we know they can.